Hey, what's up guys? So today we are going to be talking about what cards you should pick up or get rid of before the next ban list, because in about 2 weeks we should be getting that official ban list from Konami, and then 1 month after that we will be getting Duelist Alliance, which is the next set that's going to have the Shaddolls, the next high tier deck, and this deck is absolutely devastating to run into. So I will be mentioning them a lot in this video because I feel like this is going to be the standard, this is going to be what everyone will be playing that is looking to be the best Yu-Gi-Oh player, because this deck, it has so many options, super consistent, it maintains a lot of control, and it can actually push really hard and aggressive when it wants to. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So first off, cards that I think you should pick up. So first off, Super Poly, great for the side deck or in the mirror match simply because of Shaddolls. Now there's also another card called Elder God Nodin that is going to be coming out into the game. I don't know when we will be getting this in the TCG, but it is a fantastic card and it can definitely change up the game because not only, you know, we can use instant fusion, but Super Poly is a fantastic card to make this card. It basically prevents you from getting OTK'd and it lets you go for rebuttal play. So this is a fusion card that says it requires 2 Synchro and or XYZ monsters, so it can be like 1 Synchro, 1 XYZ, and its effect is when this card is special summoned, you can target 1 level 4 or lower monster in your graveyard to special summon that target, its effects are negated, and when this card leaves the field, banish that target. That's not going to matter too much because you're going to usually XYZ with that card that you bring out anyways, because it is also a level 4 fusion monster. And the thing is, when you Super Poly for it, that means you can get rid of 2 of your opponent's stuff, maybe bring out an Exciton Knight, and then blow up the field too, so you maintain a bunch of free extra advantage that you probably didn't deserve anyways. But Super Poly, nonetheless, a great card. It won't be one of those $50 cards, but it'll definitely be a card that I think that a lot of players will be running. So if you don't already have them, you know, save yourself a couple bucks in the future. It can definitely go up a few bucks in the future. Next up, we have DeeDee Crow. This is a fantastic card in the OCG, but I think it's not as good in the TCG because of Skullmeister, which basically kind of replaced it, because this card can be activated during the damage step, which is kind of unfair, really. But anyways, DeeDee Crow is still a fantastic card. You can get rid of some key cards against the Shaddolls because this card is ridiculous. Falcon gets you back any fusion, which then lets you get back another Shaddol, fusion or another Shaddol spell or trap once that leaves the field, if it ever dies anyways. So keep that in mind, and DeeDee Crow will be a fantastic card. A lot of players in the TCG are already main decking a few of these. Sometimes getting rid of the right card when they go for that soul charge, they need that one tuner or something like that, or they need that one other level 4 monster and they're targeting just, a few monsters. Let's say they only target 1 card. Hey, their opponent just, done goofed, and that's too bad for them. But, yeah, DeeDee Crow and ultimate rare, high rarity DeeDee Crows, not the common ones, but definitely see this card, going up in price, and the high price right there is probably for like the rare or something like that. A ultimate rare DeeDee Crow is not $3, although I wish it was. Next up, higher rarity Lightsworn stuff. I've been talking about this for a while. I've been talking about this since this high price over here was not $99. It was like somewhere around like the 50s-ish, but I mean, that's crazy that it's like double in price for the secret rare, and I think the ultimate rare Judgment Dragons, because if you guys don't know, we're getting a Lightsworn structure box, like a structure deck thing, and when that comes out, a lot of players will be playing that deck. It's going to top, then players are going to be wanting to run the higher rarities of it. That's just how Yu-Gi-Oh is, and high rare Lightsworn stuff is probably a good investment anyways, because I don't see it going down in price anytime soon. But yeah, next up we have Breakthrough Skill. This card is going to go up in price for the higher rarity ones, like I said, and some of these are simply because of the higher rarities, like Common Judgment Dragon. Like if you have those, it's not going to go really higher than a couple bucks anyways. But Breakthrough Skill and Ultimate Rare, because it's so important to get rid of Midrash. Let me go ahead and briefly read Midrash's effect. It must be first fusion summoned, and it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Neither player can special summon more than once per turn. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to target 1 Shaddol spell or trap card in the graveyard and add that target back to your hand. So usually whatever you use to bring out Midrash, which is usually Shaddol fusion anyways, that doesn't really make you go minus, and if your opponent has a monster from the extra deck, you get to go even more plus. The only downside is you can only use it once per turn, but it's kind of irrelevant because you only need 1 Midrash to basically screw over your opponent and not let them play Yu-Gi-Oh! But Midrash is just a fantastic card, and basically that is going to be why a lot of players are playing Breakthrough Skill, simply to get rid of Midrash's effect, because a lot of the meta, which I'll talk about in just a moment, is going to lose 2 Shaddolls because of Midrash. Midrash is insane. The things that you would normally use to get rid of Midrash, you can't get rid of Midrash with, basically like, you would think, oh, like, for example, it's almost like an Ophion that's even stronger, although it's got weaker attack. But how it boils down to is that you can only special them once, so that means basically no XYZs or synchros. You can't get rid of Midrush that way, and then you can't get rid of Midrush with most Spell and Trap because it can't be destroyed by card effects. D-Prison's about your best option, and we'll talk about this card over here real quick. Forbidden Lance is also pretty good because the way to get rid of Midrash normally would be something that maybe absorbs. You could half it with Gale or something. You want to destroy it by battle. Forbidden Lance will allow you access to this, but I don't really feel like this card is going to go too high in price. But if you want to pick them up, I highly recommend you guys, if you guys already don't have some of these, definitely pick these up because you're going to need it against the Shaddoll mirror match, or even Shaddoll's in general, because Midrash is just a really nasty card to run into for certain decks, and you can't even play, basically is what it comes down to. I mean, could you imagine a lot of the decks right now in the meta? I mean, Madolches, the Girgias, the Dragon Rulers, and anything that really uses Soul Charge. I mean, you activate Soul Charge, you special on a bunch of monsters. Okay, if you didn't have something like a, I don't know, BLS or a Chaos Sorcerer to banish this, how are you going to get rid of this? You know what I mean? You can't XYZ after it because you already special on that once. And also, like the Trap Tricks, Hand Artifacts, even other decks are going to be coming out in the future, which I will be talking about in just a moment, but they just can't do anything against Midrash. It's just too strong of a card. But next up, we'll talk about Madolches. If you have Madolches, highly recommend you guys to actually consider getting rid of them. I mean, I think they're at their peak right now. I don't think we're getting more support. We haven't gotten any support announced for the deck. And the thing is, that deck can't do anything against Midrash. Like, the deck is usually full of a bunch of monsters, and it's full of other things like Wiretap to let them go through their plays, and MSCs, they want to get their play off because they only need one play to go through. And if they get that one play to go through, usually they will basically win, or in the next turn they will win because they still have the Tiramisu. But basically, Madolches can't do anything. I mean, there's a bunch of decks that can't do anything. It's like trying to play a Synchro deck against Ophion. It's not happening. The thing is, usually against Ophion, there's so many decks where they're like, oh, I play Girgia. Don't even worry about it. I'm just going to go for rank 4, go for a 101. But you can't do that. I mean, could you imagine Girgia's facing up against a Nephilim? Or, I'm sorry, Midrash. Nephilim's another card. He just destroys a monster that was special summoned when he does battle with them. But I mean, what are you going to do in Girgias when there's a Midrash on field? I mean, you go Flip Armor, add Accelerator, Special Accelerator. Okay, end turn. Like, that's about the extent of your play. You don't really have options to get rid of this thing because you could only special summon once. And that is kind of a problem. Unless you play Call of the Haunted, which I can see some players trying out. I mean, there are already a few decks. I've seen a few Girgia players run one Call of the Haunted, or a few Dragon Ruler players run like a Call of the Haunted. I mean, sometimes you can get back a good Synchro or something like that. But for the most part, this card is just it's really devastating to run into. And a lot of decks, like I said, they just lose to it. And the thing is, this deck can make it super, super fast. If you guys haven't already seen a discussion, I talked about how I got rank 6 on DevPro. If you guys want to check that out, link down below in the description box. But basically, everyone that is playing in the OCG, or everyone that's looking to get those high ranks in DevPro, like myself, it's all Shaddolls. And I'll admit, I played Shaddolls to get there most of. Well, I played a lot of other things that weren't as good. Like, when I was playing Mermails against this deck, oh my gosh, you can't. You got like no option against Midrash. You have to have like a Lin, and then you have to go for Pike, and then you have to hope that that card survives, and then you can go for like a 101. Basically, you want a 101 or banish this card because when it's sent back to the graveyard, they're just going to add back the fusion, and they're going to make it again because they know it hurts you. If they know you're playing a Synchro or XYZ heavy deck, they're just going to be like, oh, you got rid of my Midrash with like, your one Forbidden Lance that you had, or that one breakthrough skill that you had. I'm going to make it again immediately, and that's kind of why the deck is so strong, because it can make it really fast. There's so many cards. And Falcon can reset the Hedgehog, which basically searches out. You can go for Dragon, which then searches out other cards. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not Dragon that searches out cards. It's the other one. Sorry. I'll show you guys him real quick. It's the Lizard. The Lizard is the one where it sends another Shaddol, which basically lets you pick whatever you want to get out later with Falcon, which is usually going to be the Hedgehog if you already don't have it. I mean, the deck is super fast because you can go Hand Destruction, Super Poly, Dark World Dealings. There's like very few things that when you discard that they wouldn't work with, unless there's D-Fish on board. That's the only thing that can really hurt Shaddolls. Shaddolls basically dominate everything. I don't really feel like there's any bad matchup for Shaddolls other than Shaddolls. If Shaddolls face against Shaddolls, then Shaddolls still win. But basically, Shaddolls are going to be the deck. I know I'm mentioning it like several times in this video, but that's really what it boils down to. I mean, do you guys remember that Dragon Ruler spellbook format? Like, everything else was almost irrelevant in the game, you know what I mean? But there's also heroes. Oh, one card that's important that I totally need to add in here. This card is going to get very, very expensive. it's already, look how expensive this card is already, guys. This card can actually shoot up even higher, believe it or not, and it's because the new heroes can abuse this card. Oh my gosh, and I will be getting some footage for you guys on that. The new, there's like a master build, but anyways, this card is crazy because of the hero that when it's sent to the graveyard, it gets in the fact this is, it opens up a lot of OTKs and crazy combos. Plus, this card is really OP with Soul Charge anyways, so this is a card that can go even higher in price, unless of course it gets its reprint, you know. If you're not, you know, you're really looking forward to spending that much on the card, I don't know, maybe it'll get a reprint, hopefully like a 10 or something. I feel like this is definitely a card that needs to get reprinted because so many decks need this card. But as far as modalities go, if you want to play the deck and you don't have it right now, I would say proxy the deck, play it online, because I don't see the deck going up and there's no more support for it. And like I said, basically this is going to just wreck the deck. It's going to wreck a bunch of stuff once it comes out. So recommend you do not pick up this deck. In fact, get rid of it. Get rid of Girgias as well, because this is going to be the standard. This is going to be like the deck that everyone wants to play, and if you wait too long, then no one's going to want to buy your Girgias because like, well, Girgias is not like doing too hot anymore. Same thing with the dragon rulers, erratic rulers, because you can't do anything against this card. I mean, what are you gonna do? Blast or pop? Oh, too bad you can't. And what are you gonna summon? Because that deck is so reliant on getting off their plays, like with the wiretaps and MSTs and the soul charges. They're just trying to be as aggressive as possible and want to finish you off. But you can't do that with a Midrash. It's just like, no, like it's just not happening. Unless they can normal summon one of the Harax and drop an Honest, and then at that point, you know, that's the end of battle phase. Maybe you can go for a big push, make something. The thing that if you know your opponent is playing Midrash or they're playing Shaddolls, you want to kind of throw up something that would threaten them. But one thing to keep in mind is they might have Super Poly. A lot of the OCG players, the higher ELO players that run this deck, like the top, I would say 20 players. I've faced against a few of them. Most of them are running Shaddolls. Occasionally run into something weird, but being pretty much Shaddolls, like, I'll be honest. Even myself, that's how you rank up. But I think that it's almost in a sense not, depending on your deck. Like if you can make a Quasar's still good, but Super Poly still wrecks everyone's day. But the thing is, if you have a card that you brought out with your extra deck, like let's say you go for a Dracosac, I can go ahead and go for that Shaddol Fusion, and then I can make something else, like a Nephilim, in which I can send the cards to the graveyard, perhaps get other pluses, set up for bigger plays later on. And also Dragon is a pretty good card. It flips, it sends one card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. It's a pretty good effect, but yeah, there's a lot of things that will just lose to Shaddolls. I'm going to mention that several times in this video. Next up, as far as the Fire and Ice hands, I feel like these cards are really great. Don't get rid of them. I don't feel like they're going to go down in price. I mean, even if they go down to 2 each, they get semi-limited. I still think they're a fantastic card. If you're really interested in making, like, a dollar, like, you can maybe get rid of, one of each, but I really don't think anything will happen to them. Like they won't go down to 1, but who knows, maybe they'll go down to 1 at that point. Well, then they're not relevant anyways. But the thing is, I don't feel like they're that great against Shaddolls anyways. I've ran into so many of the Trap Tricks hand artifact decks, and the Shaddolls are just like, it's like, oh, I can't make Midrash, okay, you go ahead and you normal Diona, okay, you special, okay, that's it. Like, you can't XYZ, like, that's it. And there's so much destruction where it's like, oh no, don't worry, you can't get rid of Midrash. That deck usually runs 3 Black Horn of Heavens, and the thing is, you go for Shaddol Fusion, which you can't Black Horn of Heavens, so it's like Midrash for free. And like, what are you gonna do against Midrash? It's too good. Basically, what it's come down to. And a lot of times, Shaddolls, at least in most of the builds that I've seen, and even myself, the one I've been playing, I don't really run too much back row. It breakthrough skill, hands down, I have to, because I need to stop other people's other Midrashes and other Nephilims at times. But this card is fantastic too. There's also this card where if it's destroyed, like if the Shaddol player sets this and like you ice hand it, it's like, okay, I get to target a Shaddol spell trap and add it right back into my hand anyway. So it's like, you're not gonna go plus with them. And the whole like Trap Tricks hand artifact deck was all about the pluses, but you can't out plus this deck. This deck will out plus you, and it will also stun you. And it can have options for synchros, XYZ. It has options for everything. That's what mainly makes the deck so good. Also, just I put the Super Poly here to remind me, there's also a Fire Shaddol. Basically, there is a light, and there's also a dark Shaddol, so that's why Super Poly is awesome. And that's also why Shaddol Fusion is even better, because you send the cards from your deck to your graveyard to Fusion, as long as your opponent controls a monster from the extra deck. So this card is actually insane, too. I'll briefly read its effect. Its effect is when your opponent would special summon a monster, if you have a Shaddol card in your hand, you can negate that summon, and if you do, destroy it, and then send one Shaddol card from your hand to the graveyard, so you go even more plus. You can only use its effect once per turn, and then it adds another Shaddoll spell or trap, which usually means Shaddoll Fusion, and usually the deck's going to make mid-rash 99% of the time when it can, as quickly as possible, and then if you already have something on board, they just usually make Nephilim, because Nephilim, more than likely, whatever got over mid-rash with special summon, very few normal monsters, unless you're playing skill drain, can really deal with that. Oh, that's another thing. I saw a skill drain Shaddoll deck. It didn't really work out the best, because I felt like mid-rash was their key card, but everything activates in the graveyard anyway, so yes, the argument of playing skill drain is not too effective, I would say, against this deck, because this card can technically destroy your own. I like it when cards just target one spell or trap instead of like your opponent's, because sometimes you can skill drain your opponent, and then you can get rid of, you know, the downside essentially anyways. But yeah, that's just one thing to mention. Oh, as far as Boojins go, I don't really see Boojins going anywhere. I feel like Shaddoll is just way more consistent, and they will outplus the Boojin, because Boojins are all about like the control. And if I go for Super Poly, I don't care about your motto. I don't care if I go minus with discard one, because I'm going plus with it anyways. I'm playing Shaddolls. Like I've pluses for days. Like you can't do anything with the turtles, and I'm just gonna make mid-rash, and then maybe they'll go for your motto. They go add the crane later on, and then I'll just be like, okay, you killed it. Okay, make mid-rash. You're gonna outplus them, and they only have so many cranes. You know what I mean? Unless they open up like triple crane or something like that, you can just out exhaust them. I mean, what you can do is you can keep on setting. You can set your stuff, or you can just summon it. I mean, I know you'll be taking some life point damage, because I mean that's still about, you know, couple thousand. Actually, no, it's like a little under 2,000, but basically you'll be taking some damage, but the deck can float for a while, so don't worry about that. Like your Falcon resets your Beast, and then the Beast can flip up, and then you can get more pluses off that. Like there's so much draw power with that deck that usually you shouldn't have a problem. Kaiser doesn't really hurt you at all, because what you're going to do is you're just going to be like, oh cool, Shaddoll Fusion. Nephilim, unfortunately, only wrecks the special summon monsters, and Boojin Yamato very rarely gets special summoned. He usually gets normaled, so unless it's like a Mikazuchi or something like that, then I guess you can make this, and then at that point they would have to be very sad about it. I mean, it's still not a bad card to make against the deck, but I mean, they will just outplus the Boojins. I don't really feel like Boojins will go down in price. They might get some more support for Boojins in the future. They keep on wanting to support this deck, I feel like, so I feel like eventually they'll give a Spellbook of Judgment of Boojins. But yeah. Next up, Skullmeister has been going up in price, but that's because in the TCG you can activate during damage step, which makes it much better than DeeDee Crow in one sense, but DeeDee Crow can also hit other things. You know, like you can you'd be like, oh, you don't have to wait. This card an effect has to be activated. You can use this against Shaddolls. I wish its effect also let you draw a card like Gemini Imps, because that's kind of a problem where it negates the effect, which is good, don't get me wrong, but the problem is Shaddolls can plus for days, and you're just going to go minus. Well, you prevent them from going as plus, they're still going to outplus you, is kind of the problem anyways. But if you use it right, it's definitely not a bad card. If you don't already have these in the side deck, I recommend you guys to either have this or DeeDee Crow. As far as a lot of matchups go, I already kind of talked about Lance, and I think this card will see more play because of the Shaddolls, because like I said, this video is almost all about them Shaddolls. But yeah, this card's good because it lets you run over Nephilim, and Nephilim can be a problematic card, but like I said, the problem is, if you get over Nephilim, it's usually with, a stronger monster that you... Well, okay, before you get over mid-rash, what's going to happen is you're going to go ahead and, like, let's say you Lance or you break through skill and you attack over it with, like, you know, a monster that has, like, mediocre attack. You attack over it. Then you're going to go ahead and make something from the extract. That's what happens every single time, because you're like, well, I got to make something, right? And then the Shaddol player is going to be like, okay, you're going to make something from your extract. Okay, since you killed by mid-rash and you Lanced it, or well, you, I don't know, whatever happened to it, I'm going to add back Shaddoll Fusion, and then whatever you go for, I'm going to go ahead and make Nephilim, and then I'm going to kill it, like, unless it's, like, something that, you know, can somehow stop Nephilim. But, yeah, that's one, like, downside, because, like, I don't know what you would do after that, because if you leave your field with just the monster that you attacked, you know, whether it be, like, this or whatever, that attacked over this, they're just going to make it again, and if you do make something, they're gonna go with, like, there's no winning with this deck, like, against it. Like, it wins everything. And I really feel like I said, it doesn't have a bad matchup, unless you main deck D-Fissure or Macro and you open up with it, and you open up with, like, a Banisher or something like that, which I think is gonna be, you know, relevant later on. Also, there's this card I wanted to mention really quick. Vandy's, oh, no, what is it? What is it, Ruler? No, not Vandy's. Majesty's. Fiend. That's the card I want to mention. This card is actually going up in price. Wow, what the heck? It already, well, okay, this card shot up a lot. I don't recommend you guys pick this up, and this is why. Back to going to the Shaddol argument, because I mean, there's a few decks that can really utilize this. If you have back row, then you're pretty much good to go. But Shaddoll's, like I said, they can plus. But remember, monster effects can't be activated, so that includes everywhere. But the thing is, they can go ahead and just activate the Shaddall fusion, and they'll just go ahead and make something that's stronger than this, and you know, they'll just deal with it, which is usually with Nephilim, anyways. So as long as they can get rid of Midrash, I mean, there's a lot of decks that can lose to this, but I mean, it does require a tribute. It's only tribute 1, and it doesn't really protect itself other than its effect basically protecting itself. Like, it doesn't have one of those like Ophiod, like, oh, not affected by spell and traps also. But I feel like this card's kind of, I mean, it's getting a lot of hype right now, but I feel like I said, it's just, the Shaddalls are going to be the standard, guys, and that's why I'm going to mention it like several times. But as far as the trap, tricks, hand, artifact, I played this deck against the deck so many times when I was ranking up. Back when I was like ranking like the 40-ish, this deck was pretty, you know, I saw it once in a while. But the thing is, the deck gets eaten alive because, like I said, they can't pop anything good with Mortal Attack, because the only face-up card you're going to allow them to hit is Midrash, which can't be destroyed anyways. And then they go for Diona, and then they special, and then they're like, oh crap, I already specialed, and then they just lose. And a lot of their back row can't really do anything, because like a lot of their stuff is trying to get advantage. The deck doesn't really play Lances as of right now. It probably will in the future because of Midrash, but the thing is, after you kill Midrash, I'm gonna go ahead and add the card back that just brought up Midrash, and I'm gonna go for it again. So that's just, you know, it's unfortunate, but that's just what's gonna happen. But let's go ahead and talk about other, before we talk about the decks that are gonna be coming out and what I think about them, what they will do against the other decks that are already available. Big Eye and Dracosock, I feel like these will kind of fall off because, I mean, what it comes down to, guys, again, is just the Shaddalls are the deck, and if you're not playing against Shaddalls, you're going to play against Shaddalls the next round. Like, it's going to happen. And the thing is, like, you can't really make these. These aren't, like, you know, the greatest cards. And I feel like, why hasn't Dracosack had a reprint? I feel like it's coming maybe relatively soon. I mean, he's still like 80 bucks on average. So, Big Eye's not too expensive right now, but, I mean, if you already have a Big Eye, I don't think you need to get rid of it. But if you want to pick one up, I can just wait a little bit. But if you already have a Dracosack, it's kind of arguable. Like, if you're one of those players that wants to play the best decks and the best decks only, and you don't want to lose some money, I can recommend you guys to get rid of the Dracosacks because, like I said, it all comes back to the Shaddalls, because what good is this when this is on board, because you can't really make it. If you can make this before this comes out, though, again, going back to that same problem, is since you control monsters from the extra deck, I can go ahead and just Shaddall Fusion and then send the cards to the graveyard, which can be like an Electromagnetic Turtle, which can negate an attack, and then you can't destroy my Midrash anyways by the Dracosack's effect. So I'm just going to go ahead and normal summon Shaddall, or just like go ahead and go for Falcons, and then just get more advantage than you, and then your Dracosack can't really plus, because the problem with the Shaddalls is you can't win against this deck, I swear. Like, okay, so they get their flip effects. So that means if you attack them, they're going to get effects. But if they're sent to the graveyard, they also get effects, because if it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon this card. So it's like, oh my gosh, you can't win against this deck. It's like, if I destroy it by card effect, you're going to get effect. If I destroy it by battle, you're going to get effect. If I activate anything that sends it to the graveyard, you're going to get effect. It's just, it's like I said, that's why I think it's going to be the best deck. And I mean, the OCG has basically proven it to us. And me playing against a lot of high-rated players, when I was trying to rank up and go for that #1 spot, this is the deck to learn how to play against. But now let's go ahead and talk about what is going to be coming out into the future for the meta. So, well, actually, I don't even know if it's going to be meta. I just know they're coming out. So the Talonites or the Stellar Knights, this deck is just it's not happening. It's one of those Konami rank 4 spam decks. But the thing is, they're all about like the special summons too, and like it comes back to my point of if you can't do anything against Midrash, I'm sorry, your deck's just not gonna have a good time, because this deck can make it every single turn. It's a Midrash. It's always open up with Midrash. Majority of the time, unless it's mirror match, because another player will just be like, oh, you made Midrash, I'm going to go ahead and make Nephilim, and then that effect won't apply where it's destroyed, so it's just going to go ahead and attack. Kind of like Catastor. Catastor can actually, well, this is dark anyways, that's her, no. But you're not going to be able to make Catastor against this, because you have to special summon, more than likely, unless you have like a Call of the Haunted set face down or something like that from the previous turn. But, I think we pretty much covered everything. Lavala Chain, yeah, we covered that. Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and now talk about, we talked about this briefly. Basically, what it comes down to is a rank 4 spam deck, and it can't really do anything against Midrash. There's also another deck that a lot of younger duelists, I think, are excited about. Is the Yang Zing, or the Cosmic Dragons, which is a synchro deck that revolves around a bunch of floater monsters. All the monsters have the effect when it's destroyed. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure all the monsters. And there's also a continuous spell trap card where it allows you to basically float for days. Like this deck, you can't OTK this deck unless you stop special summons in general. So if you happen to have Nephilim, or sorry, Midrash on board, they're not going to be able to do anything. You attack once, they get a special once, and then you attack, and then there's no more special summons. All the monsters have the effect when it's destroyed by battle or by card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon another Yangzing monster. And then you can only use that effect once per turn. So basically what you can do is you can attack, or if you want to, let's say they have like 4 monsters on board, okay? They have all those Yangzing monsters on board, and you go Judgment Dragon blow up. They can only activate the effects of one of them each. So let's say they go through all the colors. They're almost like, they almost remind me of like Dragon Rulers, like trying to come back into the game. It's like, because you're going to be able to get a bunch of them. But like I said, going back to my point about the whole like Dragon Rulers, like you could definitely play these because they're all like fires, and they're winds, and there's waters. So it's like, it's almost like you're trying to re-support the little engine of the Dragon Rulers. But you can definitely play them. Like you can definitely try the deck yourself. But you're going to have a problem with the deck because it wins against the deck, basically, is what it comes down to. I mean, you can beat that deck real easy. If you get matched up against the Cosmic Dragons, or if it ever becomes a thing, guys, Vanity's Emptiness is fantastic, but this is even better, especially since it, because Vanity's Emptiness, it can kind of screw you over too, whereas Power Filter, don't worry, if you're playing a deck that doesn't have monsters with 1,000 or less attack, don't worry about it, whereas the Yang Zings, one of them has 1900 attack, but most of them have like zeros, so yeah, it basically just says no to a bunch of stuff. That's all because it can wreck like a Treeborn Frog and the off chance you match up against that. This can also stop a lot of other like little small like summon decks, but I just figured I'd mention it because the deck's gonna really do nothing, in my opinion. I mean, no one in the OTG that's high rated is playing it. It's basically Shaddoll Mirror Match, and it almost reminds me of like it's not. I don't think it's as like horrible against like the Dragon Ruler Mirror Match. Sometimes it was kind of whoever had the what is that card? The Dragon's Super Rejuvenation, right? Super Rejuve? Yeah. There's whatever that dragon card where it's like draw life for days. It's like the spellbook of Draw for Dragons. There's not like necessarily that amount of free advantage in Shaddoll, but it's just slowly over time, and Shaddoll's also stunned. So it's going to be a deck that I think a lot of players are going to be playing. Sorry the video was kind of long, but there was so much stuff to talk about. So yeah, just to recap everything real quick, basically everything that's meta right now will not be relevant, in my personal opinion. Maybe Boojans. I feel like Lightsworn, I don't know if I mentioned it, but Lightsworn can have an okay matchup. You can't make Michael against Midrash, obviously. So it's Judgment Dragon or nothing. And you can sack really hard, but it's not the most consistent, and this deck is like consistent on another level. Like it's super consistent. Like very rarely will you have bad hands. And if you happen to have those bad hands, hey, main deck triple like hand destruction, main deck triple dark dealings, main deck triple super poly, and you will go plus for days, and you will not go minus because everything off of the Shaddolls will be a plus anyways, because they don't miss the timing even with hand destruction, which is it's OP. It's OP. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. And like I said, if you guys wanted to hear me talk more about like the meta and stuff, I did a video like a day ago, and I basically talked about my experience getting rank 6 on DevPro, which I need to get. I promise, guys, I'll still try to get that rank 1 spot for you guys. But I just gotta grind out with some more Shaddolls because this is the deck. Unless I want to be, you know, awesome and do it with Mermaids, which I occasionally dip into, but the matchup is just this deck is too strong, guys. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day, and like I said, if you want to check out the link in the description box, you can check it out. Thanks for watching, guys. Azneyes out.